Hello. In the next few minutes, we'll be discussing how Autodesk Inventor integrates with Upchain. So we'll start here in the web browser. We can see on the left, we have an E-BOM, an engineering BOM. Notice here on the far right, the C-BOM. This is the CAD BOM. There's a one-to-one relationship between each of these CAD files and the corresponding E-BOM item. So if I change my C-BOM, for example, if I change this assembly, if I add components, if I delete components and so on, the E-BOM will automatically update as I check in my CAD data, and we'll go do that in just a moment. The assembly that we're working on is a vise. Now, the way the CAD integration works is we're going to leverage what we call the CAD connector. And as it says here, the CAD connector is the hub for all of our dedicated CAD plugins, including Inventor. So here in Inventor, notice the right-hand side of the screen. This is the CAD connector, the Upchain CAD connector plugin. I'm going to activate a project here, simply called Sample Files. And when I activate the project, Upchain first shows me a synopsis of the project itself. And we're going to go work on the CAD data in just a moment, but before we do that, let me show you a couple of other quick things here. The CAD connector is designed such that all Upchain information is brought to the user inside the CAD connector. I don't have to leave my CAD environment to go access other Upchain information. For example, all project documents can be accessed right here from the CAD connector. Additionally, if I have any assignments, which I do, I can see those here. Again, they're brought to me directly inside the CAD connector. Now it looks like here we've got an assignment to modify the handle in our vise. It's got too much clearance with the holder and it needs to be a bit beefier. So let's go make that change. And to do that, it's really simple. I simply access the items from my assignment. We can see our assembly here. And a simple right-click open will open the assembly. Whenever we open CAD files into a CAD system, we'll see a dialog box like this that lets us configure exactly what it is we're about to load in the CAD system. And notice the structure has already been identified. Here at the top, I have filters that I can use to select different configurations of the assembly. I can also select different versions. I can go back to version 1, day 1, if I so choose. When I click the download button here, notice how fast that appears to download. What's happening here is in the background, Upchain is looking inside what's called the local cache. That is a folder on my hard drive. So as we work with CAD information, Upchain caches that information on your local hard drive. And we do this for performance reasons, right? We make an assumption that if you're working on something, especially an assembly, chances are the next day, the next week, you're going to work on that object again. And so Upchain caches that information locally, and this dramatically increases your performance. Even the largest of assemblies can be leveraged inside Upchain. Now, when I click download, Upchain looks in that local cache and it actually checks timestamps. So if my information in my cache is up to date, then obviously it will retrieve it right out of the cache. If the information is out of date, for example, if this component, if the main body is out of date, then in that case, of course, Upchain will have to stream that information down from the cloud into my local cache, but that will take a matter of just seconds. Let's go ahead and open the model. Okay, the model's now open in Inventor. Look over here on the right-hand side, please, and you'll notice the structure of the assembly. The structure that you see here in what's called the C-BOM view, the CAD BOM view, will always match 100% of the time the structure of the CAD assembly. Now notice the jaw piece here is in a green font. What that means is that that object is currently checked out. Now, who has it checked out? Well, I can find that out very easily by simply hovering over the red lock icon. Now, the red lock, that indicates to me that a colleague, in this case, Mark Mechanical, has that object checked out. So right now, Mark is the only person in Upchain that can make changes to this object. Mark either has to check his object in or release his checkout lock, one of the two, if I wanted to make changes to that jaw. Right now, I can download the jaw, I can look at it, I can play with it, but I cannot make changes to it. Now, if my colleague Mark does change the jaw, if he changed it right now and checked it in, I would immediately get an indicator that my object is now out of date, and I, of course, would be able to click on the object and update that. Now, what we're going to do, again, we're going to work on our handle here, which, as you can see, has quite a bit of clearance here with the holder, and we just want to make it a bit beefier so we can maybe weld on this with the hammer. And so let's right-click on the handle and simply click Checkout. It's that easy. Now, by default, since we're in assembly mode, Upchain will also check out the assembly. You don't have to do that, but I'm okay with that at the moment. Now, over here on the right, notice what happened in the C-BOM view. The handle and the vise are now in a green font, which again, that indicates that they're checked out. Now, who has them checked out? Well, guess who? Me. So I see a lock, a green lock icon to indicate the objects that I have checked out. Now, let's simply open the handle in another window, and let's go ahead and make the change here quickly. So I'm going to modify this extrusion here. It's a 1/2 inch right now. We're going to make it kind of beefy here. So let's take it up to maybe 3/4 of an inch. We'll really be able to weld on this thing now. And let's refresh that. And then let's come back to the assembly. And of course, you can see we've fixed our problem. We've cleaned up that clearance problem, and we've got a really beefy handle there that we can leverage. So notice here on the right, before we check this in, I want to point out down here at the lower right, the handle currently has a file version of 20. The assembly also has a file version of 20. I'm pointing those numbers out because both of them are going to change right after the check-in. And let's go ahead and do that. Let's simply click on the top level assembly, going to right click, going to check in, and we'll give it just a moment here to check in our changes. Now, what we see here is a check-in form, and I'm presented an opportunity here to enter in check-in comments. Now, this is not required. This is an option in Upchain. I kind of like it because it provides a richer history of the object. So let's go ahead and finish this out. And we're done. Notice here on the right that the handle and the top level assembly are no longer in the green font because we've now checked them in. And if we look at the file version for the handle, it's V21. The file version for the top level assembly is V21. So that file version, that's the mechanism that Upchain uses to track these incremental changes that we make to our CAD files. So hopefully you found this interesting. Again, the Upchain CAD connector integrates very, very tightly into the CAD system, in this case Inventor, although we support many other CAD systems. Please let us know if you have further questions.